Welcome to our today's podcast series of the Black American Orthodox Experience, a program of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America with the Orthodox Christian Network, OCN. In our today's program, we have our good friend, Reader Anthony Davis. Reader Anthony Davis, you are welcome to our program. Please meet our audience.
Hello, welcome. Nice to meet everybody, and I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit of my experience.
Glad to have you. Thank you for joining us once again. Reader Anthony, would you please share with us your journey to Orthodoxy?
Yeah, I'll give you the skinny version.
Yeah.
The long version of it's too long.
Yeah. Summarize.
Yeah, the summary version. Well, I will say though, from an early standpoint, I mean, I've always felt there was a call, something higher, something more than for me with God, and just not what Protestant Christianity had to offer. I guess I've always just kind of had this draw to God and to Christ. With that being said, that led me into ministry in the Protestant church, in the Baptist church where I grew up. But again, as I was learning more about, just reading more about in my Bible and learning more about Christ, I mean, I just felt there was still something deeper, something was missing. A friend of mine who was a pastor had encountered some Orthodoxy, and he gave me some stuff to read, and that kind of one thing led to another. And it was just wet. I got my mouth wet and I just couldn't stop drinking it. And so I'm still drinking it.
Well, you graduated from the college and subsequently descended into the seminary. Please share with us what led you to making that decision that time.
Well, I mean, there are many stops from when I graduated college. I mean, I'm not a young chicken. So it wasn't like I graduated college and then made the decision to come to seminary. There were, like I said, many steps along the way. But I think each one of those steps was preparing me for my role and my step into Orthodoxy. There was I would even say, probably as far as back in college, I used to tell a friend, oh, I'm going to move to Texas. He lived in Texas. And I kept telling him, because I always kind of had this inkling that I was going to move to Texas. And then it was when I moved to Texas that I actually started visiting the Orthodox Church, started becoming, my home parish was in Fort Worth. And it was then I started talking with my priest, and he's the one that kind of suggested, well, since you kind of have this desire, this taste, then maybe maybe seminary is something that you might want to look into. Whether or not you get ordained or not, it's just good knowledge to have. And so that's what I decided to do. And so I ended up at St. Vlad's.
I'm glad to have met you in St. Vlad's.
Yes, we had some good times. Folks.
Yeah, it was a good time, a good experience.
Yes,
thank you for the inspiration we shared together there.
Yeah, so thank you for the sharing the African food soups with me.
Well, Reader Anthony, being a Black American convert, what attracts you most to the Orthodox faith, and how would you use it in your evangelical and mission outreach?
Oh, I mean, what enticed me and what brings me to Orthodoxy is Christ. And what I mean by that is he makes us human. It doesn't matter what color anybody is. Christ makes us human, and we all have to lay that color down at the foot of the cross. And so that's my draw to Orthodoxy is I feel like I'm human in the eyes of Christ, in the eyes of my brothers and sisters in Orthodoxy. And so that's my draw. That's what really keeps me grounded in a lot of things. What can be used as far as evangelical or evangelism? I feel like that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, and I say that because that's also saying that we are doing a great job, meaning Orthodoxy is doing a great job at reaching everybody, which I don't think that's really the case. So I think what we need to do is one of the things is this kind of platform, because this platform, while it will reach some of the outside masses, this is more so for the inside mass, and we need to change the inside mass as well as the outside mass. So, it's kind of like that inside of the cup thing, right? Like we have to prepare the inside of the cup as well. So things like this, interviews, anytime that anybody can be seen in Orthodoxy on some platform, is also just a great opportunity.
It's interesting to hear that Christ is the most attracting force that brought you into Orthodoxy. However, the same Christ is being preached in other denominations, evangelicals, we didn't hear in America. So touch it a little.
I think while Christ has been preached, a Christ has been preached, I will say. I wouldn't say that in every situation Christ is being preached. And what I mean with the Orthodox Church is Christ is the church. Christ, we have the fullness here in the Orthodox Church. What I mean by the fullness is I mean that, we're still connected with the early history in the early church, the early saints. And it's a continuation to this day where when you look at American Christianity, there's all these different branches and each one claiming to be the truth, and that there's only one truth. There's only one Christ. There's only one truth with a capital T. So it's kind of dicey when you start talking about American Christianity and Orthodoxy, because they're not one and the same at all.
Thank you for your insight. Reader Anthony, from your good experience so far, following your conversion into Orthodoxy, how can we attract more people to Orthodox Christianity, especially those of us who are in the field of evangelism?
Well, I'll go back and I'll kind of just speak on the challenges first before I get into the other part of what we can do. Again, I think part of the challenge is cleaning up the inside of the cup. I mean, it's a big cup, right? So how do we reach everybody on the inside to prepare them for the conversion of Black Americans into Orthodoxy? And some are going to be right on board. Some people will just, it won't be a thing, but it will be a thing for some people because they're just not used to it. It'll be a change. People fear change. And so that to me is one of the biggest challenges. What can we do? Again, I think this is a good platform in terms of being able to reach both inside and outside of the church. We definitely need to look more into, I had the privilege this past weekend, this past week, they had a conference here on campus, a music conference, and Abbess Catherine, who you guys have interviewed, she was here.
Yes.
And they sang some of the music that she has been working on, and they actually sang it in liturgy this past Thursday and Friday, some of it. And to hear it actually sung in liturgy, some of the spirituals that she's converted in the music, I mean, it actually caught fire with people. Like some people were like, was that a spiritual I heard? Like they were excited to hear it. So I think, things like that, as well as, I'm not a musical person, but like things that Mother Catherine is doing, things that, the brotherhood or fellowship now that's always been a good outreach. And so those things I think are working. I think once Mother Catherine gets or Abbess Catherine now gets some of her music circulated and people actually hear it because it was now recorded. And so those recordings will definitely be heard, I'm sure. So I think those will make an impact. But again, it's going to start with small things. We can't look at, you know, the big picture without taking small steps first. So I think we just got to continue with the small steps, and then the bigger things will take care of themselves.
It was nice hearing Mother Catherine's new composition. I followed the service live and I heard the music. Yeah, because she broadcasted the link on the St. Moses Fellowship email. So I followed the link and I enjoyed that. She's a great icon as far as Black American experience in Orthodoxy is concerned.
Yes.
Well, Reader Anthony, you have led a couple of ministries both in your home parish and at the seminary. Would you share with us what these ministries are all about?
I mean, again, ministry is about connecting with your fellow brothers and sisters. So, you know, in my home parish, I helped start a men's ministry where we just got together and made breakfast on one Saturday or so a month, or sometimes we went somewhere and had breakfast, and just to be able to sit down and talk with one another, not necessarily always about orthodoxy, but just to be able to talk and get to know one another on a personal level. At the seminary, I was instrumental in starting the chapter of the Fellowship of St. Moses the Black here on campus. And again, it was more about trying to get people to have the exposure to what St. Moses the Black Fellowship is all about. I think a lot of people think, just because of the name St. Moses the Black, that it has to deal with like some blackness or whatever that even means. But no, it's really about missionary work. It's really about understanding and how to connect with other people, again, that look like you and that don't look like you. So that's really the heart of the mission, and that was my aim in trying to start it here. I think they actually brought the chapter back this year, and when we finally read the racial canon that's on the St. Moses website, some people were just blown away by it, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, why haven't we been doing this all along?" And I'm like, "Well, we've been trying to get you to do it all along, but you guys didn't. It took a while for you guys to get around to it." So, that was really my aim, though, just trying to get people to know that this is really just about missions, and that we need to reach out to not only people who look like us, but people who look different than us.
Interesting. From your own perspective, how will you describe the future of the American Orthodoxy?
Again, I feel like that's a loaded question. And I can only speak from my perspective. This is, there's no, but I think it's still trying to find its identity. I'll leave it at that. I don't know if American Orthodoxy really has an identity yet. And it's still this hodgepodge of, Russian, Greek, Serbian, all the gambits you can think of that's here. But none of that, all of that is American Orthodoxy, but none of that is American Orthodoxy at the same time. So it's like, then I think we're still just trying to find the identity.
All right, Reader Antwian, thank you for having you in our program.
Thank you.
A pleasure meeting you, and we appreciate honoring your invitation to be with us today.
Well, thank you. And Father, let's catch up soon.
Yeah. God bless you.